Hi, I'm Allie.
I'm Nicole.
And today we're going to do the Quintessential Summer
Book tag.
Book tag.
Tag of books.
Yes. Which is quintessentially summer. We're doing this in August, even though we live in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, where it is summer all year round.
Yes.
We have like hard summer, which is right now, and then like
Soft
medium summer, and then like light summer / possibly like kind of fall, which is our winter, and then it just goes back into summer.
Yes. But we've decided we'll just follow the rest of the world and do this like in the summer
actual
months.
Summer, in the summer.
Yes.
Way to like bid farewell.
Yes.
To the summer. First category is ice drink, a refreshing book.
So I changed my answer actually. So I actually changed it to A Book of 1,000 Days by Shannon Hale. And I don't know if it's necessarily like refreshing, but this is a book that I've reread a bunch of times. It's a really quick read and I really enjoy it. It's basically about a kind of like a servant / lady's maid who gets locked away in a tower with our princess because the princess refuses to marry who the king wants her to marry. So they're locked away for 100 days, 1,000 days. Sorry, it's like, how long was it? They're locked away for a very long time, and she basically keeps a diary of the time, and this is like her story. So, I don't know, I really like it. It's really fun. It's a really good book. They eventually get out of the tower. Spoiler alert, I don't know, but it's cool. They save themselves, which I really enjoy in the book. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so the one I picked was from Twinkle with Love, which I really, it's a dog tail wonder again. I thought it was refreshing. I really liked how much it talked about different female directors, and I just really liked reading about a female filmmaker, and I thought it was a super fun read and just nice and refreshing. Made me feel good.
And you actually read that in the summer. So.
And I read in the summer, yeah.
So our next category is Cotton Candy, and this is a book that was fluffy and sweet.
All right, I'll go first again. All right, I picked Always and Forever, Laura Jean, which I think all these books are very fluffy and sweet. The characters, fluffy and sweet, and they're fun books to read. There's not like anything like super dramatic really happening in there. I guess there kind of is with the hot tub thing, but outside of that, like they're just, I don't know, they're just really good, like contemporary, fun, sweet, fluffy reads. Yeah. So.
My pick for this was Carry On by Rainbow Rowell because I just finished reading it and I'm a little bit obsessed. And you wouldn't think it's fluffy and sweet, but it's fluffy and sweet.
It's super fluffy and sweet.
Yes, it's adorable and I love it and I want more. And I guess if you don't know what it is, it's basically the story that was in Fangirl that Kath wrote fan fiction about, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rainbow Rowell decided to write that story.
Yeah.
That's about it. So.
All right. Next one.
Sunglasses. So this is a dark book. So for this, I picked Lullaby by... I'm blanking on the author. It's the guy who did Fight Club.
Chuck
Palahniuk. Something like that. So this is kind of dark because it's funny too because this is the first book by this author that I've read, which like everyone else kind of reads like Fight Club and other stuff like that. So.
I read Invisible Monsters first, which is also kind of dark.
I think most of his books are dark. So it's basically a story about a guy that discovers that in a book of children's book of poetry, the author has inadvertently introduced a culling song, which is a song that basically causes the listener to die. And so parents are reading these books to their children, and then children are dying.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know what that was about.
Yeah. So it's basically a story about how this guy's going on a quest to try to destroy all the books that have the song in it. So.
All right. I picked Amatka by Karen Tidbeck. It is a book that, if I remember correctly, originally started out as a collection of science fiction poetry, and she said no one would publish that, which I thought was funny. She was like, no one wants to publish sci-fi poetry collections, which sounds right, even though they should.
Yes.
So she changed it into a novel, which is just super interesting to me that she was able to take a collection of poetry and turn it into a novel.
Yeah.
Anyway, it is about a group of people. I don't know how to explain it. They kind of have to talk about things to make them exist. So like every day they have to go in and like they would have to say notebook, notebook, notebook to keep this notebook.
Interesting.
And then they kind of got rid of all the fiction and anything that wasn't real because it could change something from one thing to another, and that was really bad. So it's kind of this dark, it has this dark feel to it because of that, because everything's very literal and everyone just has all these really hardworking jobs kind of thing. And then the way that it ends, I thought was pretty dark. So I really enjoyed it, but it definitely has kind of a dark tone to it. It's a really good book. I recommend it.
I want to check that out. It sounds really interesting.
It is. And I don't know, I lost my copy of it. I wanted to show you guys. It's a really cool cover too. I don't know what it's around here somewhere. I can't find it.
That's the next one.
The next one is Picnic on a Rainy Day, a sad book. I picked The Serpent King, which is also a really happy book, but there's something very sad that happens in it, and it got me good. I don't have my copy. I loaned it to somebody, so anyway, it's a good, it's a contemporary about 3 kids in a small town. It's called The Serpent King because the character that it follows the most, I can't remember if it changes perspectives or not, but the main character is the grandson of a man who was like a serpent handler in a church. So there's all this, like, his family has all these very interesting beliefs, and he has been told a lot of really interesting things, and he's kind of coming to terms with that throughout the book, and then trying to figure out what's real and what isn't, and what he can trust and what he can't. It's really good.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
I have to end up reading my copy of it, but
I promise, I know I keep talking about how sad it is, but it's so good.
I know.
It really is.
I just have to get around to it. My book was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I've talked about like forever and always on this channel, and this channel's not even that long or old. I just talked about it a lot. But basically it's a story that follows this woman named Evelyn Hugo. She's like an actress from like the golden age of Hollywood, basically. So it's kind of set in the present day, and she ends up asking this this journalist basically, to write her biography. And you kind of don't know why she chose this exact journalist to write her story. But she basically says, like, at the end of this, you'll know the reason. And so she kind of takes you back through her past, and it's divided up based on her husbands. So she kind of, but yeah, it's such a good book, but it's just, it makes me cry.
I'm excited to read it.
Yes.
Because
we need to read each other's cry books.
I know.
And then talk about how much they made us cry.
Yes.
Yeah. Sand, a book that irritated you. So for this I chose Wink, Poppy, Midnight. This is a really hard book to even like explain. Wink, Poppy, and Midnight are the 3 like main characters in the story, and it's not a bad book. That it's not like it irritated me because I thought it was a bad book. It's just like, even now I don't know how I feel about this book, but it's just, I guess you can say it's like that grain of sand that's just like stuck, and you're just like trying to like pick at it and pick it out, and just you have to like forget about it because you just can't. I don't know how I feel about this book at all, but it's very interesting, and there's lots of twists and turns in it. And so at the end you think you know what's happening, and then it like switches again, and you're just like, ah. So that irritates me sometimes.
Yeah.
And then it ends, and you're just like, I don't know if I like that or not.
Right.
So.
Okay. I just thought of another one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll keep the one I already said. No, I'm gonna switch mine. Okay. So for mine, I'm going to say Gone Girl, because have you read it?
Yes.
When like the book like the first half of the book and then you get to like the big like reveal
Reveal.
halfway through, I was so annoyed. And then the way it ends.
Yes. Okay, that is an irritating book.
Like I really loved reading that book, but those two things, I was just like,
Which
I
like,
almost don't know if I would recommend it to people just because because it's so frustrating
Yeah.
in those aspects. But it is such a fun book to read.
Yeah.
But when I got to the middle, I was so mad.
I would say read it just to go on that emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, ugh.
And I think some people I have a tendency to be a little bit of like rose-colored glasses.
Yes.
So I think a lot of people like immediately from the get-go were like, oh, Nick did it. He's
Yeah.
evil. And I was kind of like, no, I think he's a pretty good guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always am that person that's like, oh, I think they're okay. They're a good person. And then a lot of times they're not. But anyway, I definitely had a different perspective from a lot of people from the get-go.
Yes.
So yeah, I totally had to change. Because the other one I picked was like more about how it ended and kept ending than like the book
Yeah.
itself. So this is a
Right.
better one.
No,
Okay.
that's a really good one, actually.
Oh yeah, book to screen. This is summer blockbuster, so
Yes.
book to screen adaptation. I picked an old movie and an old book. I picked Sense and Sensibility because that's just like my favorite adaptation ever. It's the one with Kate Winslet and Alan Rickman and Emma Thompson and there's someone else. But anyway, everybody's in it. There's all the famous English actors. I believe it came out in '95. I first saw it in high school, and I've watched it so many times since. That's like my movie. That's like my sick day movie. Like if I'm not feeling well and I need to kind of like something to cheer me up, I will watch that movie. It just always makes me feel so much better. I love it. It's so good. So good. And sorry, I go on about this a lot.
Yeah.
But I've read interviews with Emma Thompson where people will come to her and they're like, oh, I love that Jane Austen quote. That's not actually a Jane Austen quote, but that's just, she was one, I think there's more than one person that wrote it. She was one of the screenwriters and she just did a phenomenal job. Like, there are moments in it that it sounds like something Jane Austen would have written and it's actually not. It's the dialogue for the movie.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's just such a good adaptation.
Nice.
I love it.
Which is funny because I've watched that movie, but I haven't read that book yet. I did it backwards.
It's hard with movies, or I mean books that are that old to keep up with what's up. So anyway.
So mine for this is Stardust. The book is written by Neil Gaiman, and it's funny because I actually saw this movie before I read the book, and I actually liked the movie more than the book, which is like really rare, I know, but I just feel like the movie was an overall like better like an arc of storyline or something. I don't know. But this is a movie that kind of the same thing of like if I'm just if I'm just feeling like down or I just want like something fun to throw on, that's what I'll read. And it kind of reminds me of like kind of like Princess Bridey and that kind of like fantasy
I
setting.
need to watch it because I haven't seen
It's
it.
really good. I really like it. I highly recommend to everybody if you like fantasy movies with like magic and all that fun stuff. And poodles. Look at that tail. So next is Dropped Ice Cream, a book that you were anticipating, but it wasn't good. Do you want to go first on this one?
Okay. I'm going to, I know I said this in another, I don't remember which video it was, but it's A Court of Frost and Starlight. And I won't say it wasn't good. It just wasn't as good as the other books. Just leave it at that. Like, I didn't hate it or anything by any means. I just, I kind of felt like it didn't have to even be a book sort of thing. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was not as good as the other books in the series. So.
Mine is a book that I actually haven't finished reading yet, and so it's not a book that, again, like, it's not one that I don't like. It's just that so it's Gunslinger Girl, and the whole reason I got it is because after I read Vengeance Road and Retribution Rails, which are westerns, I really wanted to kind of keep going with that, so I picked up Gunslinger Girl and was reading it. But the problem is that Gunslinger Girl is more of a historical reimagining, so the setting it's in the West, like the Wild West and like cowboys and everything, but it's also like something other stuff happens in history. Like I forget like everything, but it's just like I want to say like steampunky, but not obviously steampunk because that's more like Victorian England and stuff. But it's just kind of like that meld of like Western stuff, but then they have like cars and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so it's just it wasn't necessarily what I was looking for because the other two books that I mentioned are actually set in like our history.
Oh, okay.
Actually, it's funny because the Vengeance Road and Retribution Rails are actually set in Arizona.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice.
so it's funny because you're reading about like they're going to Prescott and you're like, that's cool, stuff like that. So, but yeah, so it's not necessarily that it's not a book that I don't like. It's just that I started reading it wanting it to be one thing and it wasn't. So, yeah.
The next category is Palm Tree, a tall book you loved.
This is kind of a weird category, but I decided to pick the Tea Dragon Society because it's tall. Yeah. But this is also really cute. It's just a really simple little graphic novel, but I really like the art style in it. It's basically about a girl that rescues a tea dragon, and she takes it back to the owner, and the owner kind of like teaches her about how to take care of tea dragons, and you just kind of like meet all the other different characters and the dragons in the book, and so it's not like, it's more of just like a little character driven graphic novel than anything else, but it's just adorable and the illustrations are really cute.
It is really cute. I picked Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the illustrated edition. Like I have it. I don't know where that is either. Actually, I do know where that is. It's in storage. But anyway.
Those are gorgeous. I really love them.
I mean, Harry Potter is my favorite series ever. I'm obsessed. I have a Harry Potter tattoo, and I just really love Harry Potter a lot. So and those are tall.
Yeah.
So that was kind of how I
Yeah.
made my decision. I thought that one was kind of tough because I don't have a lot of tall books. Most of my books are kind of all the same. Like these three, I think are just, they're all tend to be like this, the same height. So anyway, I picked that one.
Next is Bonfire, which is a book you'd want to burn.
So I think we had the same reaction to this one, which is none, because burning books is lame.
Yes.
Haven't you read Fahrenheit 451?
Actually, I haven't.
Oh, I just read it, so. But in general, I don't believe in burning books. So
No.
that's not cool.
We just think that even if there's a book that you don't like or whatever, you shouldn't burn it.
Yeah, and there are
That's
plenty,
rude.
right? And there are plenty of books out there that don't
Appeal.
match my ideals.
Right.
But I don't think it's fair.
To say other people aren't allowed to read them.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you can read something extreme, we'll say, and I think some people can be swayed by it, but I also think a lot of people can read it and understand the evil that's in there, and it can help
more of a learning thing.
Yeah. So just don't burn books.
All right, and we're gonna finish with
Fireworks!
Yay!
A book that exploded onto the scene.
Okay, so mine is The Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I don't think I have to say anything about this book.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. So, and like kudos to her because I'm jealous, man. She's like way younger than us.
Yeah.
I'm like,
She would go to Harvard, though.
oh, she's way smarter than
I was going to say she might be way smarter than us, too. I still need to read it. I do want to say one thing, though. I feel like our culture kind of idolizes young success.
Yeah.
And just if you are a younger person, you don't have your shit together, that's okay,
fine.
too.
Yes.
It takes
We didn't have our shit together.
Yeah,
so.
it takes most people longer than than some, and that's okay. So
I
like,
think-
there's no shade to people that take longer to figure shit out.
Oh, totally.
'cause
I think
it's all good.
Like
It's just impressive when someone does.
It's impressive and it's like amazing for them and stuff like that, but I think it's definitely out of the norm.
Yes.
So
I think that's why people make so much of it.
yes, and I do remember like when I was kind of in my early 20s, it felt like, or mid 20s, I should say, it felt like, well, this is my life's over now. Like, what's the point of trying anything? I'm too old now to succeed, which is stupid because you can succeed at any age.
Yeah.
There's plenty of authors that didn't start publishing until they were like their 50s, 60s. So
yeah, there is definitely like I feel like the idea is out there that if you haven't done something big by the time you're in your like mid to late 20s, then you're done, and that's
garbage.
yeah. I think it's getting better, but there definitely is that feeling that like you have to figure out what you're going to school for, you have to pick your job, and then that's it, you're done.
Yeah.
But no, that's not true. So anyway, I just wanted to add that in.
No,
because
I think it's definitely
it's
something important to talk about.
Yeah,
So.
but
Yes, this book.
she's awesome.
Yes.
So, and then the book I picked is The Hate You Give, which you've probably heard about, and it'll be a movie soon. I'm very excited.
Which is funny because I haven't read this book yet, and you haven't read this book yet. So apparently
you have to at least read it before.
Yes. Apparently, this is another thing that we have to like swap books on.
Yes.
I think the movie's coming out
October.
Yes.
I don't know when in October.
October 2018. Go see it.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the movie because it looks really good. And this book is very good. It's just, yeah, I'm sure people have had a lot more eloquent thoughts about it than I have. So, yeah, I'll let other people talk about it, but it's really good. So, Angie Thomas at Y'all West, and she's so nice, and like I get really shy around people I don't know, and she just handled it really well.
Yeah. So that's it for the tag.
All right, and I'm excited that summer's almost over.
Yes.
I know a lot of people love summer.
We don't.
And
not in Arizona.
Yeah, now that I have a job in a school, I feel like I'm going to be like, yay, summer. But this summer I did not have off, so.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so that's it, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.